Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Mia. I'm one of the producers of TWIMLfest, and we're excited for this session. This is what it's like to be the only ML engineer at a startup. Your host today is Manjush Vundemodulu, a senior machine learning engineer for Dunzo and specializing in natural language models, word vectors, customer embeddings, representation, and customer cart analysis. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors for their support of TWIMLfest and today's session. Since today's session is hosted on Zoom, please take a minute to note where the chat is. You can send any questions you have there. And if you're watching on YouTube, we will also be monitoring the chat there as well. And so that's all I got. I'll hand it over to Manjush.
I hope you can see and hear me.
Yep, you can see and hear you.
All right. Thank you for, first of all, giving me this opportunity. I feel really good to be here. Partly because my day always starts with 2ML podcast. Uh, right. 2ML is more than just a podcast. It's a huge organization, right? With a great community of researchers and ML practitioners. Also, partly I love the way people like you and me are given the platform to express and share our ideas. Right. So let me just start by sharing my screen. All right. So, as per instructions given to me, like I'll keep my company introduction short. Um, so I work at a place called Dunzo. I joined here like 4.5 years ago. It When I joined, it had a team size of 15 with three co-founders and a founder. We were doing about 5,000 odd transactions every week. Um, and fast forward to now, we have a team size of 1,000 with we are clocking over a million transactions every week. For first 3.5 years, I'm the only ML engineer. So I have close experience on what it means to be the sole ML engineer in a startup. Uh, I'm not sure if I'm late or early into machine learning. My college doesn't teach machine learning, but I'm fortunate enough to meet some really nice people at Fifth Elephant and other conferences. Uh, they were just really nice and kind to speak to me and respond to me, even though I was just, during my college days. They also took time to give some cool machine learning projects to me to get started. Even though I started out while I was in college, by the time I was building my first models in my company, the world of AI is rapidly changing. When I was busy building my first models, I think Sebastian Reska was publishing his first book on Python machine learning. I think I was also following Randy Olson. Randy Olson, I think you might be hearing him a lot about visualization. His paper was published in Gecko. It's just a postdoctoral research at University of Pennsylvania. He got his paper selected as one of the best. I think his paper is selected as best paper in Gecko conference for evolutionary machine learning. I think this was somewhere in 2016. Uh, like straight out of college, I joined a startup and worked as an ML engineer for 3.5 years. Uh, so I worked as sole ML engineer. So this title of this talk and then the context that I'm setting right for this whole thing is like my first hand experience. I hope that this talk is relatable for startups who are just wanting to hire their first machine learning engineers, or like just want to see how it's like to start solving machine learning problems in their company. I also hope that this is useful for other people as well, like companies probably with small team sizes. They also might find this useful. Um, so I try to avoid technical terms in this talk. Although this is my first non-technical talk, I will try to make this as relevant as possible to all the people who are here, hopefully. Um, so then this is actually somewhere at 4:30 in India. This is very early in the morning. Uh, so usually I don't, I have no experience in talking on virtual conferences. I usually directly talk to people. It's weird to not hear anything as a response and directly speak to a screen. Uh, I usually wake up at 5 and it's 4:30. It's very early in the morning for me. All right, without further ado, let's jump into today's topic, what it means to be lone ML engineer in a startup. Before we jump into the actual topic, I want to give a brief introduction about my company. This is because I want to set a context of what I am working in, like the workplace I'm in, and then yeah, so that it will give a more context to the overall talk, right? So this is what my company does. I hope that I'm still connected. My internet can be flaky at times. Um, Yeah. All right. So this is what my company does. Like we do multiple things, but to give like a overall category wise, we deliver packages. We also buy stuff, and we do pillion. That is like the overall picture. But if you go into buy again, there is all a lot more things that we do. We do food delivery, pets, grocery, all that. Right. Now, how we started out, our journey was started with WhatsApp. We didn't even have an application until we have over like 500 orders per day. There was a human operator who used to look at people, even still right now also we have human operators even at million transactions, but we the point is when we started out we didn't have an app, and then right now uh, we are we needed to move to an application as we sort of scaled. We started out with free flow of text, and we moved to discovery, which is to enable users to have simple clicks and then end up in their order. Right. So yeah, let's get started with the main topic of this or like overall talk, like what it means to be lone ML engineer in a startup, right? So since I have been working for like very long time in a startup, so I'm very this is a very personal thing for me, right? So let's, without further ado, let's straight away jump into the main topic. Uh, so first thing that we tend to do when we are, you know, starting to get into machine learning is we tend to do a lot of research. Like we are all research enthusiasts. We are like let's get more and more time. Like usually we end up taking a lot of time in building some things, right? Um, so yeah, so I'll tell you why we need to build like quick POCs. Why are they necessary in the first place? But first, let me start with a joke. I have a startup joke, but I don't think it will scale. Since I don't hear any response, I don't know if it's funny. Like now, the problem with startups, especially the ones who are just starting out with the problems, is they're trying to solve a lot of, like, they themselves don't have like a lot of clarity on what exactly they're trying to solve. So the problems keep evolving, right? Uh, some of us like researching, but independent research is hard, right? Even hard, even hard is when you are affiliated with a startup, and then you're sort of you want to sort of focus. You are very much interested in research and then all that. But if an organization is aligned with research, I mean, their main goal is research, that's a different thing. That means you are much more luckier. My point is, you cannot take long time to build one project, right? If you do, it might not end up being one of those. It might end up being one of those cool projects that you built, one of those cool machine learning projects that you built, like, which never gets used in the production setup. Now, I'm hoping most of the audience like did watch this movie, right? I'm not sure if like all of you watched this movie. This is called 2001: Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick. This is one of those defining moments where AI built by humans starts thinking on its own, like ends up becoming evil. That's another part. Like, so thing is, generalized AI is hard to build. Like, leave about startups, for even normal companies or researchers, or like, uh, we haven't built a general purpose AI yet, right? Like, I don't know. I'm hoping that in near future we will be able to build like a generalized AI. Like, that would be great. Although people are skeptical about it getting evil, all that, I really am much more hopeful about the positive sides of it. For companies, like, leave about generalized AI. Like, for companies, I hear a lot about solving a moonshot problem, solving this one problem which solves everything else. If you're attempting to solve moonshot problem to begin with, I would say don't. I mean, moonshot problems are good to hear when startups are getting into funding pitches, probably. Uh, but they're really, really hard to solve in real life. For startups who don't have enough scale, they need to first start working on the basics. They need to think about problems which can be solved easily and probably don't take a lot of time, and it can be straightforward put into production within less span of time, and then you can just straight away look at the results, right? I mean, you need to start working on your basics first. You should not straightforward aim for moonshot problems. Moonshot problems are good when you have multiple moving parts in your startup, and you have like an urge to have all, convert your categorical variables, probably using deep learning, in probably you want to start solving, you want to make sense of these categorical variables. That might be the case. Maybe you want to map out all your deliveries, like that might be other case. Like, companies who have probably need to solve for moonshot, they will understand when they're getting it to that stage. You don't need to straightforward looking, start with, oh, I want to solve this moonshot problem, right? Um, yeah, I think this is point number one. Yeah, second thing I want to get into is own the problem. So I think you all will agree, if you're already working in a startup, um, there is no one else who will look into your project. Like, if you're working on a startup, right? In a startup setup, mostly, like, if you are solving an ML problem, you need to own it from start to end. From the moment your problem statement comes in, it's very interesting how some places even the problem statement is defined or converted into well-defined problem statement, breakdown into parts in by some other people than the one who is just building it, right? So for startup, that convenience is not there, right? You have to, then they will just come to you like, hey Manjush, like just build this fraud detection for us. They don't even have a context of what fraud detection is and what exactly they want to solve. You need to decode them. You need to keep asking them questions and sort of understand what it means when they say fraud detection. So uh, and sometimes like you need to so you might need help at sometimes, like it is very much possible that you're not you can't solve all the problems, right? You need help for sure, but my point is you need to mitigate this dependencies. It might be hard in the beginning. For me it was especially very hard. Like I was just out of college and then I joined the startup, and there's no team to begin with, right? And there are all these other folks who are working on different interesting problems, and they are busy with their own problem statements. It Startup usually have a theme, and then obviously their machine learning is one way of solving their problems. Thing is, be it building pipelines, be it building documentation, be it productionizing after you build the model, you have to take responsibility if you are in a startup where you are probably like the only one. Uh, so in the beginning problem statements, it might take 3 months, 4 months, or I don't know. It might be very hard for you to get your first models into production. But the good part is once you have started productionizing your first models, it will be very easy. Like you don't rewrite the code, the pipeline that you have built again and over and over again, right? So it happens. It so happens that it's true with programming. It's one of those privileges with the programming. You tend to solve one problem. It means that it can be reusable, right? The pipeline that you have built to automate your machine learning program to get into production, that will be reusable over time. Like, I mean, for maybe slight changes here and there, but it is mostly reusable, right? So yeah, owning the problem statement, like completely own it. No one is going to be responsible in a startup setup. You need to completely own it, right? This is my all right. I think this is more of a human problem than just any statistician or machine learning engineer problem, or they are also calling it data, like data science is also like the fancy term I heard right from my college days, but I think it became less and less now. It's more like machine learning engineer and all that. um, so yeah, I think I was going to start with two books that I read. There's a lot of detailed explanation about this in these two books. One is Thinking Fast and Slow, and this one is by Daniel. I'm not sure full name, like, right. And the other book is The Signal and Noise by Nate Silver. This is very. I think most of you must have read this book called The Signal and Noise by Nate Silver, because he is the one who sort of got the election outcome right now. Right now, there is an election going on. So, um, right. Uh, so the thing that these two books talk about is the human bias, right? What happens is we tend to prove what we feel is right. We already have like a theory that, oh, this can be right, and then we tend to prove that over and over again. Even with more data, we sort of try to prove the same thing. That happens a lot to us. Um, And as the book mentions, like you don't be a hedgehog, like be a fox. Like you should always question your before you arrive at a conclusion. You should probably like start proving in the day, and then in the second half of the day you should try to disprove your own theory. Like that's how it works. Machine learning, I know that there is a set of techniques which you can use to like sort of avoid these biases, but even then we tend to make mistakes. And when you are in a startup setup, it is much more dangerous, because there is no one to code review for you. There is no one to like check if you're using right set of methods, or if you're following right principles to get your model into production, right? So I'll probably give you my one example that I worked on. This is called ETA estimation. ETA is estimated time of arrival. Like we sort of have different delivery legs, and we needed to calculate time from which. Okay, I'll give like an overall picture. So when someone raises a request to get something done from one pickup location to drop, there is a several things you need to worry about. First thing is the partner sort of accepts this particular request from the user, and then they sort of reach the pickup location. Then it can be like by task. Okay, I'm just talking in context of my own context. Basically, it can be like buying groceries, or buying food. Food can involve wait time, and then a lot of things, right? And after all that, you sort of deliver it to the end user. That's like a one complete task. Now this involves a lot of different random things, like it's a lot of data as well. Now what happened is we built a ETA estimation model, and in the end we were getting like a really good results. We were actually surprised to get see like, oh, we are getting like 90% accuracy. Like we're getting really good. We are really close to what the estimated ETA is. So 90% in the sense, like let's say you get like less than 3 minutes of error rate. Let's say you get 90%. You're like, oh wow, this is really great. Now let's put this into production. Like, I mean, this is really great, right? Now we are already at a scale at this point, right? We are already at a scale where we cannot put something into production unless it's proven. Now 90% is like a really good number for me. Like it was like wow, like you could build a model which went to that sort of accuracy, that sort of it's really good. Now what happens is you tend to forget that that much of accuracy means something must be wrong. Like uh, with with the amount of variables, it need not always be right. So what actually happened was we sort of scaled all our data, and then when we are sort of calculating our scores, we forgot to you know what is it? We scale and then again put it back to the normals, right? I mean, uh, that we forgot to do that part, and our results are obviously really going to be good, right? So but this part is missed by me, and then there is no one to check this, and then obviously it went out into production, and for a few days we sort of realized that something is going really wrong. I mean, the setup that we have, the experiment that we connected, the results that we produce is completely different on a production setup. Then we sort of went and debugged this whole thing, and then sort of got to know this. Uh, but that sort of thing is not okay, right? I mean, we need to avoid these kind of biases, and I would say that if you are in a small startup setup, you totally need to write tests. You need to write tests, enough tests to make sure that you don't end up in confirmation bias. You should not um, like sometimes results might be too good to be true. It is more easy to catch these errors where catch these mistakes where it is much more watchable, like it is much more catchable, like you can straightforward say that it is too good to be true, but in some cases it need not be that, right? Let's get into the next one. All right. Also, this is very important when you are in a startup, or like when you have small teams. Also, you don't really have interaction with other people, right? I mean, there is no one to look up to, or there is no one to look down to, or there is no inspiration for you to keep working on something, or like you need to have in general you need to have more ideas about things that you're doing, or you need to have a new perspective. There's no way to get that unless you sort of keep reading new books and keep reading like all the research papers that are published. You need to be as close to you need to be really good at reading. uh, and also the thing is you need to meet people in conferences. You need to meet interesting people, so as to understand what they are trying to do, what problems they are trying to solve, and what all methods probably they are trying to use, right? It's always important for us to get a outside view when you're in startup. You are actually closed with your own things, right? And it is hard to if you are working in one problem statement, you're probably busy in your own work, but you have to take time to meet other people. There is no other way that you can know the outside world. One of the reasons why I'm meeting you guys is to just is like I want to connect and then understand your perspective, what you guys are probably solving, and then also understand more about how I can sort of change my workflow, maybe all that. Right. All right. So
Manjush,
impact
I just
measurement.
wanted
Yeah.
to make sure you saw a question that came through the chat from YouTube. I don't know if you see that.
Sorry, I don't. One second. How do I see that? Is that on Zoom call or is it on?
Yeah, on the Zoom at the bottom, there's a little chat box.
Okay, let me just.
It might be at the top because you're screen sharing. So where it says your screen sharing, just kind of hover your mouse up there.
Yeah, I'm going to chat now. All right. I see all files. I don't see it here.
I can read it out also. This is from Vinayak. He's asking, is it important to start with the MVP before launching an ML model? If the weakness in the model originates from bad data quality, all further investments to improve the model will lead to failure.
When you say MVP, like what is the full form? Like talking about, I just want to ask. Can you reply over the chat? Like what is MVP?
Yeah, I'll ask him to elaborate. Minimum viable product. Thanks.
Yeah. So when I say POC, that is the proof of concept. You should always go for the minimum viable product first. So when you're it is true that we have tendency to overwork over the project and then take a lot of time. But the problem with startups, as I'm telling, is we need to confirm our problems. Like we need to have minimum viable product first, and then if you have stakeholders, get like sort of give a presentation in front of them, and then try to get a feedback, and then quickly try to change your quickly sort of change whatever feedback that I like, try to use it in your product, right? That way you sort of have your first models into production very quickly. And you also need to make sure that you avoid any sort of confirmation bias also. Like that's you need to write this as like in the beginning itself. The point is, yeah, you need to have like MVPs as quick as possible. I hope that I answered your question. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, I think that was great. Thank you, Manjush.
All right. All right. So am I still sharing my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, impact measure matters. So I'll just one second. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. All right. So thing is, you sort of select different problem statements because you are limited with your own time, right? You're sort of limited with how many problems you can solve in a startup. Uh, Also, some problems can necessarily like it can mean that some problems don't even have much of importance. You can solve this really cool problem, but it need not have any impact on how the startup is making money. If your problem if the problem that you're trying to solve does not end up saving some dollars to your company, like uh, you might have to think stop that problem statement. Like you need to think about how to change the problem. So for example, let's say you're calculating task loss. So for example, you have tech outages, I think. Now tech outages can be calculated. Like you can understand how much impact it has on your transactions if you have a projection of how the day looks, right? How your next day looks. Now this kind of problem cannot need not be useful to you in the beginning, right? I mean, when you're just starting out, you probably have less transactions to worry about, and you already have an idea that how many transactions are there in the previous day. You almost have similar number of transactions today, so there is no need for you to build a specialized model to just predict how the next day looks. But yeah, on a scale, it might just have a little bit of impact, but that too can be automatically calculated with other app screen clicks and all that. So how do you change this? How do you make this useful? Is probably to increase the granularity. So right now you are at a granular of city level. You are probably forecasting for an overall city. Now you just increase the granularity a little bit. You say that you go into hourly level maybe. Now you have 24 hours in a day. You probably cut down into each hour, and then can predict, can forecast on an hourly level. You can even get into much more granular. Like let's say you are operating in multiple geos in a area, like in a city. You can again cut down your granularity to geo level. For example, geos in Bangalore are little bit different. So geos in the sense they are like this small localities. Um, so you can cut down your problem statement to work with geo level hourly, like as per requirement from the business. You need to do that, otherwise it's not going to have much impact. Like even though you are solving for something, right? Sometimes it is possible that the problem you're trying to solve, it's no longer like useful. Like startups tend to pivot a lot, right? Not a lot, but sometimes the theme of problems keep changing, right? You need to be you need to keep having this prioritization, goal planning, and all that for every few months to make sure that you are relevant to the company. Yeah, as I say no to some problems. It's hard sometimes for like your co-founder might be just coming to you and then saying, "Hey, Manjush, I think this is a cool problem. Let's solve this." Uh, the thing is, not all problems are solvable with machine learning. Some problems tend to be more. They are much more. Uh, they're better solved with easy techniques. I mean, um, they're much more solvable in, let's say, counting fashion, or it can be a simple count problem. Like, for example, you want to find out the trending stores across your area, or it can be a search problem. Search problem can be a little bit machine learning, but so some problems need not be solvable with machine learning. You need to understand which problems are the ones you will straight away understand, like which are the problems you can solve with machine learning. You need to be straightforward. You need to be upfront with your when you are getting requests from your company saying that solve this, solve that. You need to be open to that sort of setup where you're like saying, hey, I think this problem doesn't look like a machine learning problem, right? It looks like you can solve it in some other way. Sometimes it is possible that you don't want your first version to be a straightforward machine learning solution. You probably want to understand if there is a way to solve this without machine learning, and that it can be a better solution as well. It can be possible that you just want to understand the baseline of the problem, right? What is the sort of metric that you can get without actually using a machine learning approach. Then that way you can understand where you can go next. Like you can sort of improve that and then move to a better approaches. Like yeah. All right. Also, yeah, you should know when to stop. I think this both points I sort of explained in the last itself. I don't want to explain it again. Yeah, you should fix. Point is, you have limited time. You have limited people to help you with, so you need to be smart at picking your problems. Uh, you need to pick these problems which have really high impact, and then raise a focus on getting your first POCs as quick as possible, and then sort of get into a production setup, then move into the version 2 again. You should be as quick as possible in a startup setup. Thing is, we tend to think that our work is very understandable across the organization. We have this thinking that this is a very easy thing. People need to understand this, but that's not the case. We need to be as precise as possible, as explanatory as possible when you are talking to business. That's how they understand what we are trying to do. Generally, be when you're building a certain project, you have your own documentation. The language of the documentation is very much tuned to probably like another machine learning engineer in your organization, like, or anyone who is well versed with machine learning. You also need to write a documentation just for the business. You need to explain what all things are there, like what exactly algorithm that you need to do. Sometimes you need to even like explain neural network. It might be hard for you, but you need to learn to explain to business so that they also understand like what really is going on, and how it can be impactful to their business. So yeah. So this is one of the common problems that I see across organizations, because I've been speaking to multiple people across conferences, um, for people with large teams and for people with smaller teams, this is a general problem across organizations. Like data science or machine learning projects, they have different structures when it comes to a project. You need to make sure that you standardize to a project structure. Like you need to make sure that your folders are structured in such a way that you keep your source code all in one, and then you keep all your notebooks in one place. You should keep your data files in one place. So yeah, otherwise it's just going to be very messy. For example, if you have a small team, like just 2-3 people, and then more people will be joining and then just leaving in 6 months. uh, it's very unpredictable. Like the team size is going to keep varying, and then the people they just um, if they're working for just 6 months, right? Now you want to get something out of them. The organization wants something out of them. uh, the thing is, it's not going to be very easy if your project is itself is messy. Your code is probably understandable by you, but it's not understandable by someone who is just joining, or someone who is just getting into your project. Like they're probably switching from one project into another, and then they want to understand your project. It's not very easy if you don't write your code in a proper fashion. You need to make sure that you have a proper folder structure. Yeah. I think we almost are like at the. I think we have just two more slides, I think. So I think after this we'll just open up to questions, and I also want to hear from any other perspective that you might have. Like I'm very close to my own experiences. I want to hear more from you guys. So when you are growing as a company, right, you tend to get a lot of emails from this outsourcing companies, like outsourcing AI companies. They probably want to solve a certain problem for you, right? It need not always add value to the your company. This it really depends. Like um, when your outsourcing company sort of build something, they build it on a generalized version. They don't tune it to your own company needs. So you need to make sure that whatever they are trying to solve, is it like really useful for you. Also, is there a communication that needs to go back and forth whenever you need to make some modifications for this particular project? um, for example, you probably need to work on your search. Search is a really good problem to solve, and I think there are companies who I don't want to name any, but like they sort of have really good generalized search versions, right? They You can sort of plug them into your company, and then your search will become a lot more. The search scores will increase by a certain percentage. Uh, but it need not be useful for you because you probably want to change it over time. You probably want your to bump up your merchants, or you want to bump up with some conditions. Like it is possible that you want to tune your product according to your will. Then it so happens that you have to go back to them and then tell that I want this modifications to be done, and that communication is actually going to be really messy, and it takes a lot of time to have this sort of setup. Yeah. Finally, yeah, listen to the feedback. um, Live metrics is very important when you're building any product. You might get really good accuracy with your golden set or leave out set, but you should always listen to the feedback. Uh, you should keep checking your dashboards. You should once your model is in production, you should keep checking whether it's working today, whether it's working for a week. uh, If it's not working for a day, then it's fine. I mean, but you need to like keep tracking this sort of setup, like understand if your models are still working on a production setup, right? Yeah. I think I'm also open to listen to your feedback, and we have over 6 people. I'm not sure how many we have over YouTube. I'm open to questions, like if you have any questions or if you think you have any feedback, just I'm open to that. Hello. Am I still on the call?
Yeah, you're still here. We'll give a second. If anybody has questions, please feel free to send them in. We will be on the lookout.
Sorry, is there any question, or is it just?
I
Yeah.
think we're just giving it a minute. I think we might be okay on questions right now. So if we want to wrap up, we can.
Yeah, right. All right.
Okay.
All right. Just one more thing is you can always connect me with at manjush@dunzo.in. You can always email me and reach out to me if you have any questions. Also, in general, you can always email me, like, just to connect. All right. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, Manjush, thank you for joining us at 4:30 in the morning. That's amazing. Thank you. We definitely appreciate
you.
you taking the time to do this. So this video will be available. I sent a link to the recording in the chat, so you can watch that whenever you like. And it will also be available on the session page. So that's it. We can wrap up there. We hope to see you all soon. And thank you again, Manjush. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Same to you.
And we're getting lots of thank yous in the chat. Just want to let you know in case you can't see.
Is it on YouTube? I'll check it out later on.